I think with movies like the independent 2013 2014 film, The Congress, um, even though I haven't watched all of it, I will say this: from what I've read and from what I've seen from the animation portion, this proves to me, without a shadow of a doubt, that creative films, mind-binding films, mind-boggling films, weird films, as one critic put it positively, it says it's weird and wonderful. The Congress proves things like this can be done. The anime Paprika, it proves things like this can be done. And when I look at these animes, if you will, when I look at these animes, these animation movies, I should say, these sometimes fully animated, sometimes live action incorporated, like Congress has, it just proves to me from an animation standpoint, movies that might boggle the mind, that some might consider being a little weird, they can be done. They can be. And I talked about this in my fan recommendation. Where I talked about how, basically, how when I think I've mentioned this in my fan recommendations, but basically how when I would read GHYC's Grapes, if you will, What Dreams May Become series, or things like that, or other stories like that, or web comics and stuff. To me, this is stuff that can be visually done in animation. And if you have a decent enough budget, it can be done in CGI and live action. But mostly it can be done through traditional 2D animation. And like I said, if you have a decent enough budget, it can be done with CGI. But, to me, I think stories like, like JYHC's What Dreams May Become series, story series, I think is more along the lines of something that can definitely incorporate from 2D animation, with a little CGI thrown in there, but mostly through 2D animation. I mean, you take a look, like I said, at the Congress, which a lot of people might say that, hey, if you're an art student in college, this is more like an art film than anything else, and it is. It is. But to me, I look at it and I say, if this can be done, even on an independent scale, because the animation, as I mentioned on camera, is a decent blend of the 1930s, 20s Betty Boop, Max Fleischer style, and a lot of the anime style of like Hayao Miyazaki and even Tetsuko at times, but mostly Miyazaki. It's that good. It really is that good. And to me, when I look at JYHC's What Dreams May Become, when I look at stories done by like 93, web comics done by people like Kaboozle, Kai, the list could go on. These are things that I believe can truly be done in 2D animation. I truly think it can be done. I take a look at some of the scenarios with JYHC's What Dreams May Become series, or even his Rhonda House series, and to me, it's like this. I mean, visually, I imagine what's going on in my mind when I read these stories, and I can only imagine what they would look like on screen. I really can just imagine, and I think that's a target for anybody. That's a target for anybody. It's like I mentioned with it's like I mentioned with the whatever her name is, the one that did the music video with the jelly beans. Can't think of what the name is right now. You probably know what it is, but I can't think of it. But basically she proved, even with just jelly beans as her main source, that a recreation similar in sense to what Peter Gabriel did with Sledgehammer can be done. I mean, there's a scene in her music video where basically she falls into an ocean made up of jelly beans, and all that's remains of her is her lips, and her lips grow wings, and it's like, what's the reason for that in the video? And you don't know. But to me, that proved that a remake of Sledgehammer by, let's say, a female music artist can be done, or at least a remake video style wise with their own song can be done. And when I look at something like the Congress and the animation style here, and it's like these things can be done because here's the main portion when it comes to the animate. Here's the main plot, basically, if you want to look at it, the main plot or the subplot or whatever you want to call it, for the animation portion of the Congress. And not to give much away, but it all deals with shape-shifting, transforming yourself into something other than who you are, into another form. Whether it be another character, a celebrity, or even an animal, or heck, even becoming some kind of a living plant. It shows that's entirely possible. And when I look at that visually in this movie, I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. That's the kind of stuff people are writing about and drawing about over at places like DeviantArt. And yet some people get on them for liking that. And yet we're seeing it in medias, multimedias, motion pictures. It's like, what's the big deal? So to me, I think something like, what Kabuzo does with the cat character, and what Kai does with her characters like Furo and Fruto, and what XU does with her character X, and stuff like that. And like I say, what JYHC does, Grape does with his story series of like what dreams may become, and Rhonda's house, and even the Fox Serum stories. And even those people like JYHC and many others out there that contribute to the Trust Machine series, the Ven machines, the transformation machines that they are. And even to what Doodly Doo does with Morpher Academy. And what Doodly Doo does, and several other people that help him out, what they do with the Morpher Mansion or the Morpher Academy and their characters and the fusions and stuff like that. It's like this kind of stuff can be done, and a movie like the Congress, especially its animation portion, has proven it. It can be done. It can be done. And I know that's a dream for a lot of people. I know that Grape, JYHC, his goal is to probably get his stories turned into something visually. So people can watch his stories come to life. I'm sure that's a goal. That's a goal for anybody. Heck, you take a look at the people over at SatAMSonic.com and their season comic, which is season 3. Their goal, which they're working on right now as I speak, is to get that season web series or that web comic visually brought to life in animation form. That's the goal. That is the goal. You have one person that goes with Doodly Studios, and he showed a sneak peek of a CGI adaptation of the Archie comic series, basically the first issue. You could criticize the guy all you want. You have Richard Kuta, Knothole resident. He's a guy that actually visually showed some animation for what he was trying to propose as a Sonic movie. And take a look at Eddie LeBron, Blue Collar Studios. He brought a fan film of Sonic to life. Nobody ever thought that was possible, but it happened. The same with Mega Man. It happened. The thing is, to me, this kind of stuff is possible. And movies like The Congress and its animation portion of it have proven it. Especially what some of the plot is, one of the main subplots is involving transformations and shape-shiftings and all that. It proves it can be done. So I look forward to the day where Kabuzo, Kai, JYHC, Grape, 93, Doodly Dude, and those that help over at the Morpher Academy, Morpher Mansion. I cannot wait for the day when all of those visually become a reality, not just as webcomics, but as animation in 2D animation. I look forward to that day, and I know it's coming, and they know it's coming. So, to me, as the title of this says, the Congress movie proves the animation in the Congress's animation proves it can be done. Or the Congress movie proves with animation anything can be done. Or anything's possible. So, let me know what you guys think down below about what I've said here, and I will talk to you all later.